Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Thursday, August 15th, 2024. And how can I forget? Because just a little shameless plug. Tonight, Black Java is taking place at 135 Morrissey Boulevard in the Dorchester area. We are excited to have Mr. Mike Dees, Mo Filler, also Dart Adams and Taylor Andre as well. And we'll talk more about that at the end. But this morning, we are here with a young lady by the name of Sarah Busby, who is going to talk to us about some aspects of what comes with telling your story, maybe some talk around branding, the mental health of being public. And so as we were talking sort of before we went live, I'm like, oh, this may turn out to be a very interesting show. And so I'm excited to have her here. We're going to learn about her journey to being a senior publicist. And talk from a theme. I'm not sure if it's an event, but Hustle Mania is sort of a theme that we're talking about. And if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a Black entrepreneur, if you're a woman entrepreneur, if you are an entrepreneur in spaces that you found yourself in and you're making it happen, oh, there's a hustle to that. And so I'm excited to introduce to some and present to others Miss Sarah Busby, who's going to speak with us this morning about her work as a senior publicist and publicity. And I'm excited to have you here this morning. We're going to do a real quick tech thing just to make sure you're good, because it delayed a little bit when you came on. If you got anything else on your Wi-Fi or another page open, turn it off, because I want to hear everything you got to say.
Can you hear me? Am I
hear
delayed?
you.
I'm good.
You're
I'm not
good
delayed.
there.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
The screen tricked me a little bit, but I think we're good. Say something else. Say good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Oh, you're perfect.
Okay. Okay.
I just want to make sure it's good, because they'll get in the comments and say, we can't hear her and all that. I love the Java family, but good morning to you. Glad to have you here. I'm sure you understand branding and trying to have everything with, a good presentation. And so welcome to the Java Cafe. I'm glad to have you here. Please say good morning to the Java family. Introduce yourself. And I'll ask you an icebreaker question. When it comes to the current state of politics, describe the impact of publicity and marketing in one word.
Oh, in one word. Oh my gosh. It's
do the easy part. Say good morning first. And
good
then
morning. Good morning, right? Going straight to it. Good morning, everyone. Y'all, I am excited. I am just a Southern girl that is just excited here to be here and just share all the good and great things that's happening. Just branding, hustling, entrepreneurship, giving tips and things that I do, and hopefully it helps you guys.
And don't forget your one word for
my one word.
Publicity in the context of what's going on in politics and media right now. One word to describe from any.
Yeah, I would say, and this may be interesting to some, energizing. It's energetic. We are always on our toes. We're not, energetic. I'm gonna say that.
Energetic. Right. Got it. And so Sarah, how did you get to this place of focusing on your and helping others presentation to the world? What in your life experience caused you to land in this place to help others present themselves? Because, I was taught first impression is everything. You mentioned that you're a Southern girl. There are terms like Southern Belle and presentation. There's the debutante thing. So tell us your journey of how you got to this space of ensuring that people make a good presentation of their brand and themselves.
Well, I will say that it's always been instilled in me. My mom would remind me as a child, I would say, "Oh, I'm all about my image." She was like, "Where did you get that from?" And so as I grew up, I just kept being like, I was big in acting. And so if you're not familiar with the acting world, it's obviously about presence, depending on what part you're playing. I mean, they have certain protocol on even how you audition. It's just, and it's about appearance. They have to be able to visualize you to play a role, even though I may look this way. Like they have to, get that in their mind. And so to get in this journey, I always wanted to be on camera, front of camera, but I didn't really understand that to be in front of camera, there's some behind the scenes work that you have to do. And so with storytelling, with, having a background and being a journalist, I'm having to really kind of dive my life a little bit into what's happening in the world or into the story that I'm sharing. So I've got to have a little bit of empathy because I got to understand so I can be able to narrate on their behalf. And so I will say that that's really, I'm like, okay, my upbringing, just who I was as a person, just a young child going into what I was going into. I think that's really what, gilded me. And I would see my mom and my family. I'm a pastor's kid. And so
You're a PK?
I'm a PK.
Okay.
So I
This,
mean, that's going to probably tell you, okay, well, then that makes sense because we were obviously in the business of what? Helping people and giving from an empty cup. That's what people don't want to talk about, but that's a part of ministry is doing that. Yeah.
So, I just put the title up, the mental health of the hustle from a branding perspective. And that is, a hustle, being a preacher's kid, first family of the church and the ministry in itself, there is a certain expectations. I want to set a disclaimer that asking questions that I'm about to ask about the impact of being a child and growing up, in case, mom and dad is watching, this is no indictment. This is just general information about there's a pressure of being and I don't know your sibling makeup. Are you the only girl? Are you the oldest girl? Are you the only child? Like where you fall in that in the sibling piece is important. Being a PK probably had a huge influence. And then, being in the South as well. And so what was the impact on the expectations of your hustle to be the beautiful, bold Sarah Busby that you are?
I would say it was very heavy. The expectations is to be a certain way, act a certain way, even go to certain, be in a part of certain crowds.
Yep.
And so my mom always said, you're not going to go there because of what she went through. A generational trauma is real. So so what happens with the parent sometimes trickle down to the child. And then, so I said, okay, I got to stop that generational trauma because I don't want that to trickle into my generation, my children. So the pressure has always been heavy to show up, to act a certain way, sit a certain way. Also too, when you are a PK, it's an expectancy kind of for you to be a musician, for you to be talented in
either play or sing, and preferably not the drums, either somewhere on keys or sing.
I did the drums. My dad got me on the drums. I have drumsticks that are actually monograms and did back at home. So I say that like somebody's going to sing some music. Somebody's going to do something. Yeah. And so it's like, now that I'm talking to you, I'm like, man, I really was, I don't know. My life journey got me here. It's like this expectation and like just to show up and you're going to fit in here because this is what everybody's doing. And now I don't play any instruments. I don't play music.
Can you still keep a pocket?
A little bit, a little bit, it's not something I'm going to go, and say, oh yeah, let me hop on the drums. Like, no, not itching for it.
It's so interesting because just to deviate a little bit, being a PK, a pastor's kid, even down to being an adjutant, either you were going to serve in some capacity or be able to back them up and play on the organ or do the symphonic selection before they sing and whatnot. And so being the drummer and a woman drummer, that's kind of
that's a whole nother thing. And then we was a smaller church. So the choir didn't sing. I would sing the same song over and over. And I was so embarrassed. I'm like, it's just me. And I'm
So we talked about generational trauma. There's trauma that comes to some extent of growing up in church, Jesus. We can do a whole different show about that because there's a hustle there. And so to get us back to stay focused, you talk about the servitude. You talked about the living up to the expectation and the impact then. If I can ask you to come up to 2024, from a macro perspective, as a Black woman, as a woman, as an entrepreneur, how do you manage now living up to the hustle of what's required of you? Because now you're in a whole different setting of presenting yourself as this professional that's going to help other people present themselves. That you made a comment earlier about something being heavy. That's heavy. How do you handle that in 2024 based on what you said, growing up in the PK and other things?
Yeah. It's exhausting, for any African-American woman, even a man, it is exhausting to meet up to 2024's standard. Either that's being active on social media. I mean, it's just a lot. We're constantly being reminded that, are you really where you're supposed to be? Like, did you miss a moment? Have you missed moments? And so that's why I was so particular about, okay, I really want to talk about the hustle, because it's like, at what point do we just say, okay, this really isn't for me, but maybe I see where there's a need for this, but how do I adjust and adapt to make it work for Sarah? Like, what does that look like? And for me, is I'm having to pray through it. I'm having to, like, okay, really understand, like, Sarah, there's some areas of error. There's some things you could do better. Maybe I need to do some internal work, right? Okay, so let's see where the trauma, where the issue is for you not to participate in what's happening, or, whatever that may be. So it's a lot of times there's just some like looking in the mirror and seeing, okay, where is this stemming from? What's the foundation? Once we understand that, well, let's see how or if we're going to implement, the societal pressures that we're seeing in 2024. And I think what's so crazy is that people are, like, not numb, but they're, like, understanding, like, okay, I ain't got to do that. I ain't got to do it like that. And I can still be, I can still be me. I can still be profitable. I can still be successful, but I don't have to do it like that. And that's what is getting everybody. It's like, nah, this ain't 2021, 2022. I ain't got to show up like that.
That is a good space to dwell. I was talking with one of my team members yesterday, and we wound up getting in a part of the conversation about, I take breaks during the summer, birthdays coming. And I said, if it's not lucrative as far as a partnership or sponsorship or whatever, or it doesn't speak to my impact, put it off until a certain period of time. And you started to talk about sort of doing it my way. We're going to be all right. And then also weighing if and what we want to do. And I want to ask you to respond to a statement that we hear a lot, that all money ain't good. First of all, you do the eyebrow like I do, and your whole body sunk. And it will fluctuate between the mental health and branding and whatnot. There's some folks here that are writers and do different things. Michelle D. Smith popped in and it knows about branding. How do you balance doing what you want to do in 2024 and staying true to yourself? But as an entrepreneur, you got to pay bills, you got to survive. How do you handle if it's not in your impact, but it might help pay a bill? It might pay for a night in a hotel and a flight. How do you handle that statement? All money ain't good money.
Okay, so we can be honest.
Listen.
The reality is, we are, where we are in the economy, and we have to really evaluate internal and external spending. And we have to look at where we are, where we're trying to go. And sometimes business owners, y'all listen up, we get so caught up into, I want to be here in 2026. But hey, you got to just make it out of 2024. So what I suggest and what I've been doing is saying, and it's so crazy, I got friends that are in my circle. Always make sure you have friends that are in your industry that can help you and be a safe space. Okay. That's going to be important in this journey. Is one of my friends, I have her in my mind. She's like, okay, how can we make this make sense? When there's a need on both sides, there should be a opening for saying, okay, this is what I can do. This is what I can't do. How do we come to a middle ground? Okay. Like, I see what you're doing. I see what this could do. I get it, but I can't do all of that. Like, but this is where I can meet you, right there. This is where we are in a space in our economy. And I think also in the infrastructure of business to where we're taking negotiations to another level. We're saying, this is what I can do. This is what I will accept. Can you accept this? I'm like, okay.
And this is what I won't do.
This is what I won't do. We have that autonomy now. We do. Nobody wants to lose the money. They don't want to lose the deal. You're like, okay, I don't want to lose it. Great. Well, but I'm not doing all of that. But this is what I'll do. You have to get to that place.
That is a corporate place. And I said, we're going to fluctuate in and out of mental health. And you can speak to that. A couple of months ago, I had a sister on that was talking to us about, for example, when people go through a family member or a partner or someone's transition, we often in crisis or whatever say, whatever you need, however I can help. And they come with a need because you said, and what she said was, we have to be real about what we can offer. And so from the corporate, I love what you said about negotiating, because the team, shout out to Anissa and Anthony and all them and Aaron and everybody. I negotiate very differently. Values of first and values are like one, the values, and then my value is like 1.1.
Absolutely.
And so, got me all over the place a little bit. Let me, where we at? Because my brain is going all over the place. The piece about all money ain't good money, and also the balancing of negotiating at a corporate level, we have to do that. But the negotiating for our mental health space of, this is what I can do. There's the corporate piece of keeping it real, but there's the mental health piece of keeping it real too. Because if you take on, which I know, too much of the corporate trying to manage expectations or living up to expectations because you're trying to get the bag, you ain't sleeping. You're not being as productive in either space as you. Anyway, this is you're the one that's advising today. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you're
Jesus.
You're neglecting. So what happens is that, and for the hustler, definitely comment in the, let us know. But what I've noticed is that I get whatever. I meet a goal. I meet my Q3 goal, and I'm just taking on the project. You can pull me from everywhere, but every time, you can't tell me otherwise. Something is lacking. If something lacks. And so that's why I said we can overexpend ourselves, whether that's I overpromise you or I overpromise, I deliver. You said what?
Sorry. And I disappoint you. You're the one. I'm gonna put my mic on mute.
So you underdeliver, and then at the end of this, we start to hear on the receiving end. Well, I didn't really get what we discussed in the. So it's like, okay. Then at the end of business, we're like, all right. So this is what I can do. So then you're like, if you had just been honest, from the beginning with your personal self, with your, with the ramifications of your business, with your team, or if you had another thing we don't do as business owners sometimes, and I've gotten better over the years, is that, hey, your team is there for a reason. We listen to our team. We hear like, what is our team saying? I've always wanted to hear. I was like, guys, what do we think about this? I'm the visionary, but I can't impact unless I listen to you, unless I'm like, we're in this together. Because when I'm not there, you're there. Hey. But hey, that's a whole nother conversation. But all money, this is what I wanted to say about all money is not good money, is that if it's to the point where not necessarily hurting your mental health, but if it's hurting your bottom line, where you lose a project, you lose a relationship, like sometimes like going to bed with the devil, it doesn't make sense, right? You have to really think short term, but also long term. Like, are we just getting temporary money? But like, are we thinking about, okay, this is a good relationship.
And that's the thing. Sometimes there's the monetary. That listen, there's professional bartering. There's and
Yeah.
Not to deviate too much, but a few years ago, and this morally moves in the space of musicians, so I'm sure you get this, come to my thing and get the E word, some exposure. And then there was this sort of notion that, I don't need the exposure or whatnot. That puts some people in places where I think they automatically put up a wall to things like professional bartering, to things like this may not be the best bag, but there's a good relationship here. There are some things that have met my values. There was no bag.
Mm-hmm.
It met my values, but then also unbeknownst to me, a couple of weeks later, a couple of months later, hey, I saw you at X, Y, and Z. You said this resonated. Can we chat? Can we grab Java and build? And partnerships and things have come out of that. So we got to also consider what you said sometimes with the bottom line. We got to consider relationships, but also sometimes all money ain't good money speaks to there's something else that can come out of it besides a monetary hit.
Absolutely. I've learned in this season is that I could have went the money route, but the relationship really found was what I needed. Because if I can call on you, if I can include you, that's the bigger impact than a money. Because one thing my mom and my father always taught me is something about big money. Like it just, I don't know if y'all have ever been in a place where you're like, okay, when I had more money when I made less. Like we know how to budget a little bit better with less, but somehow when we started, 6 figures, that's not, when you get 6 figures, you got 6-figure problems. You got higher expenses. I'm telling you I'm like, man, where is it going? Like, that's a real thing.
What did Biggie say? More money. What did Biggie say? More money.
More money, more problems, y'all. Like literally, I can take 5,000 or whatever. I'm like, all right, cool.
And stretch it.
But you start 20, 30, 50. Like, okay, so that was 10. Okay, so that was 8. So payroll is
where did it go?
Where, that's it's like, wow. And I'll be like, dang, what did I do? What happened? Okay, so we got to make this up, and that's what we don't talk about. We talk about, and that's where the hustle comes in. It's like, oh shoot, we're in the deficit. We didn't make the goal. I got to do this to do this. So it is a cycle. It's
a sad cycle. And don't let one of your contracts where you didn't remember to put in, if by happens by law, this happens and early, that, there's still an expectation that you're going to give me, 25 to 33% because, and then when it's projected and the contract ends early and you're out of 5 figures.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just speaking of a hypothetical situation.
No. We won't go there.
Sis, oh my goodness. It is so real as far as there's a whole mental health aspect of the hustle of you can go 6 months with a retainer. And what's her name? The woman that was on Wild 'N Out. And she oh Jesus. She's on Wild 'N Out, light-skinned sister.
Pretty V?
No, she gave a testimony about 1 month. In a couple of weeks, she bought in $10,000. And then the next month it was 0. I got a picture of her with her and everything. B. Simone.
Okay. I was like, okay.
Have you ever been in a situation where you got 5 or 6 months where money was rolling in and then the next 6 or 7 months? Not.
No. And I will sit here and I will tell you, yes, that is a real thing. If you want to be a business owner, you say, oh yeah, I want to be one. Okay, cool. You can do it. You can make the 6 figure. You can hit the $10,000 month. You can do that. But it's like real estate. If I don't sell no house, I could not sell a house for 3 months. And that 20,000 that I made from this last deal, it's got to, for whenever that's a actually more reoccurring thing that we like to admit to.
And we have to admit to that fluctuation is a huge contributor to the hustle. Anissa can tell you last year when I went through that, the year before last, when I went through that, it was the same contract, ended early. The next year I was like, and I went into a hustle that I did not realize for about 90 days. I was just paying, but didn't realize I wasn't. I realized, but at the end, I didn't sleep. I wasn't eating. I was stressed. I gained weight. And that is really okay. We're not going to have a session now, a therapy session with you and I, but it's the hustle. The hustle of doing the things that to bring things back, the hustle of doing the things that we as entrepreneurs, people that are public figures, got a public figure Facebook page or all this other stuff, the things sometimes required to, if you will, keep up with the Joneses. And if I can speak with you and be fair, not everyone understands that once you step into a branding space, you set a level of expectation with your audience.
Yeah.
They go on looking someone ideas for, okay, Jimmy went there Friday night. Let's go by Estella's. Jimmy went to Grace Saturday night. Let's go by Grace. Often you don't understand that there, shout out to Nia. She looks out. Georgia gives me a discount. But you also want to support the Black owned businesses, but keeping up with that certain lifestyle, it costs money. It takes time. When you're out, your social engagement barometer has to always appear that it's on 100.
Yes.
And sometimes, sis, you don't. Pastor Marion was in here a few minutes ago and said something. Not around this space, but she was talking about balancing when you tell people you're going to do whatever, and you were talking about you really can't. In that context, I get it. But in this one too, sometimes you just don't. Sometimes I just want to go have a drink, eat with a couple of friends, say hi quickly.
Yeah.
At 11 o'clock at night at Estella's, I don't want to. Anyway, let's.
That's a real thing. That's a real thing. I was somewhere recently and I was like, okay, prepare yourself. You got to be social. You got to have on your face. You got to have on your face. Because, when you are in my role, because this is the thing, as a business owner, you are, the brand. You are the face of the brand if you choose to be, which a lot of us are the face of the brand. And you do have to put on the face. I mean, it's a little bit different than the corporate world, right? Like you gotta be cheery, you gotta go out to the events with them so they'll think, you want to be and blah, 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 whatever. But the same thing is with business. And so that's taxing, literally. And so I really bonded with you on the whole, not realizing at the end of the hustling, you knew what you were doing. Like we know what we're doing. We know that, okay, I got to take this time 5, but at the end, weight gain, the health. And so we start to neglect. And so something I've done this year is, and I hope, I don't know if this will resonate with anyone, but end of last year, I knew I had gotten big. Like I was like, okay, I've gained a lot of weight. Big. I've gotten bigger. I've always been, even as a child, just have thick jeans. They're like, that's not a real thing. I'm like, no, it is a real thing. I'm big boned. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
But no, my jeans we're just thick, shapely, whatever. And so I was like, okay, so y'all, what's funny is, and I look at it, I'm like, I was praying. I said, God, change my appetite. Like, help me to work out. Yeah, I'm still eating the crab balls. I'm still doing whatever I want to do. And I'm like, Lord, pray, change my perspective, blah, blah, whatever. January at the top of the year, I've had this doctor for 6 years. And she sent me a message. And she was like, she ate me in that message. And she said this long list, but she's like, I'm just concerned. Like, you have gained this amount of weight in the past 5 years. And it's like, being all of this. Health, high blood pressure, high blood pressure, and pre-diabetes. Okay. And so I was like, I got to make a change. Starting in January 24, I started working out. I didn't think I was going to take it serious. And I got a program with my big sister, and she said, just give me 4 months. Just give me 4 months. I'm like, girl, okay, fine. And from January to 24, then this is August the 15th, I'm down 48 pounds. And I'm consistent. And I said, what I'm not neglecting in this season, even though I don't want to work out, is I'm not neglecting me, and I've been consistent with it. I could say at the end of December, I'm like, I did this for me. I made the change for me because I had to, because I feel like a lot of times what we pray for, we're praying for the next level and all these opportunities, but that takes a certain level of energy, it takes a certain level of appearance, and it's like, how can you be in these places and show up? You don't have a certain level of discipline for your own self. The amount of energy I put in for other people, I didn't put in that energy for me, So I encourage people. I said, look, and it's so crazy, y'all, talking about storytelling. I don't know, we haven't got to your question yet, but I just want to say this is that in my journey of saying, I'm going to put Sarah first, I'm going to try this thing. Okay. I really like my, whatever I eat. I've been inspiring people along the way. People have been writing me, saying, oh my God, you're inspiring me. I'm in the gym. I'm doing this. And I'm like, look at what level of sacrifice that I said, I'm going to do this for Sarah. This is not a client. I do it in the morning. Hey, my meeting don't start here. Like, I am serious about this. This is no joke. This is what I'm going to do for me. And that's where we are.
No. I didn't mean to cut you off. There's so much that's resonating with me, because if 100% is the total with respect and regard for, because when your public figure-ness or it's a servant leader space, though entrepreneur, I consider myself a social entrepreneur, social impact. You do have to, and being community focused, you got to balance the perception sometimes of some when you prioritize yourself. You have to ensure that you keep that community credibility. And so the balance of not being all things to all people, take it to the word, as Paul said, and prioritizing yourself, but then also, let's take it back to the word again, don't let your good be evilly spoken of, because some will be like, oh, you think he's wonderful now. What does he mean? I got to hit the team for it. No, you're hitting the team because my happy tail will schedule 4 people on the same day in 2 different places. That's to help you.
Right.
So, all that to say that I'm at a point this weekend. I just told somebody I got some downtime until Tuesday. No meetings. Probably will be on D&D.
Good.
I was going to go away. And I said, no, I'm going to stay my happy tail home, get some things together here, so I don't feel like sometimes the only way I can be okay is to go away. I want to make hair good.
Mm-hmm.
And whew, I felt that thing, Jesus. Go ahead and respond to that. We're going to take a break because I ain't going to say Jesus came into the room, but some confirmation of something. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm overwhelmed. That was good. Oh, wow.
I'm sorry, because I told you in the beginning that this is going to be interesting. And because I identified that you've been in or are where I am with this. I am my brand. My brand is me. And there, woo. All right. Maybe we need to take a break now. So we both can pull ourselves together for about 30 seconds and come back and maybe get some strategies from you.
Okay.
How you balance and do that. Folks, we're going to take a break. While we're taking a break, go in the comments real quick and just describe for us one word about how you feel about your hustle. May not be an entrepreneur. You're hustling in life. You're hustling to get to work this morning. You're hustling because the MBTA was late. Describe your hustle in one word. And when we come back, we'll get some strategies. This thing is good for me, Jesus. What's one that has some good, I would show this one. It's 5 minutes, so I ain't going to take it that long, but maybe at the end, I will put this on so folks can be reaffirmed in some spaces. We'll be back with you guys in about 30 seconds. Hey, folks, we're back talking about the hustle, the mental health of it, balancing when it's a good, lucrative hit for you, but may not align with your values, and how do you balance being able to keep the bottom line, take care of yourself. Well, we're just talking about a whole lot this morning. But Sarah done got me excited in a halfway therapy session, so we had to take a break so I could pull myself in. And so we talked about a lot in the first segment. If you're just tuning in, make sure you go back and watch this from the beginning. And so what are some strategies to help folks not get to where I just was? Because you open Jesus.
Yeah.
Of it's a lot to be an entrepreneur. It's a lot to be a mom. It's a lot to be a Black woman in society, a Black man. And so there are some skill sets and some things and tools that you're aware of that can transcend all of those areas that I named. And so what are some skill sets? And I didn't mean to overwhelm you. I just need to acknowledge that in my commentary a few minutes ago. But, what are some skill sets so we don't overwhelm ourselves and other people?
Yeah, I will say I had some, I didn't have any, I had some strategies, but I didn't have any, so I'm like, okay, skill set would be, time
Strategy,
management.
skill set, school, tools, whatever you want to call them.
So it has to be somewhere in our journey as a 9-to-5er, a person with multiple jobs, or a person that's an entrepreneur. We have to have some level of time management. Now, I'm not giving you the whole coach meaning of time management. I'm saying, at what point do we cut it off, right? And that's very hard, even as a publicist. It's very, very hard. But I do, and I can say this, and I have friends that know this. They'd be like, "Are you about to take a nap?" I'll be like, "Yeah." They kind of know my wind down time in the day. And I really hate, putting meetings on my schedule around that time. But I'm like, okay, Sarah, maybe today's not a nap day, but maybe maybe the evening you're not working. You're not going into second shift. Maybe you're like, okay, that's my time. If my meetings are going to 6, it ain't no more laptop. So there has to be time management. You have to have a cutoff time. You have to have a non-negotiable time period, activity, or something to incorporate, because this is where we call burnout. Am I currently experiencing burnout? Certain areas of burnout. And what we don't, some people like, well, and I want to be honest with y'all, there's a little, sometimes we can, as business owners, or maybe in your career, you can have burnout with something you love.
Yeah.
And that is because it's a lot, it's so much that happens in our industry. Maybe just things that we don't like. And we're like, we're growing. So we're starting to see things in our industry. We're like, that's not cool. I don't like that. Like, that's not, yeah. So you got to have time management. And then I'll say too, I'll take it a step further, is incorporating something that you enjoy. If that's hosting your friends, being around your friends, doing a happy hour, you gotta have some type of jovial experience in your life. You have to incorporate that. We were not built, and we were not created to be working machines. Even God rested on the 7th day. Even he said, I'm not doing anything. You mean, are we bigger than him? Are we saying, no, I work 7 days? And we can do that. We can work every day. And you're like, well, no, I don't really work. No, if you're thinking about your work, if you're thinking about your business, I call it, at some point in your week, you got to have some type of mindless activity. Like, just if it's scrolling on your phone, if it's laying on the couch, if it's watching a crazy TV show, a movie, something has to say, I am not working.
Does Ratchet TV count?
Yeah, because now you're invested in somebody else's life. You're like, why did he do it? I just knew he was going to do that. Yes.
My guilty pleasure is Natalie Nunn and Baddies.
See, because now you're the spokesperson. You're like, oh my God, I knew it. They need to do this. You haven't even thought about the podcast. You haven't thought about the business, and that's okay. And that's healthy, because everything cannot be work. Everything cannot be closing a deal. Everything cannot be social media. Everything cannot, it just can't, because you're going to start hating it. You're going to start hating the thing. You're going to start hating what God gave you. You're going to start hating the gift. Like, you're going to start hating that. And that's not okay. That's when it's like, yeah, you started doing things out of the will. You started doing things out of what you're supposed to be doing. And so, yeah.
No, because yesterday, so much so that I was thinking about, I'm going to go outside, set the phone up, and do this little reel. And when you talk about being out the will, thank you for the affirmation. There's this statement that people often say, stay in your lane. And I often said that I'm cool to be in my lane. And if I see somebody's blinker come on and they're coming over and I need to let them for a minute, that's fine. And they go back in their lane. And if I need to put the blinker on and go in their lane to push them ahead or make way for somebody else, I can stay in my lane. And oftentimes, as you talk about growth and seeing different things in the industry, we get a little curious. And the business person and the upscaling in us and the wanting more gets a little curious and be like, I wonder if I should, and they're, over there doing that. And I would do it differently. And come to find out, that's where they should be. You may be able to collab in something. I almost said something. Brother and sister, in your lane. Because as you said, you framed it as being out the will, coming out your lane. You might crash.
Yeah. It's all about timing. It's about timing.
And I say,
sometimes
it's to everybody. A dude hit me in January about doing something. We just met late last week, and it was time for us to meet. And what came out of it was dope. So timing is everything. Staying in your lane. Okay, you go back to giving tools and tips. This is good for me, Jesus. I don't know about y'all.
Yeah, there's a season for it all. There's a season for the down of business, right? Like there's actually a time for that. There's a season. We're not going to always be up. Because what testimony will we have if we're just always up? We would never know any adversity. We would never know, and I can never help you, and I can never say, hey, don't go that way. I went that way. You don't want to do that. Let me help you if I can. So what has helped me is, and I'm not a part of the whole no new friends group. That's not me. Because if you truly want to grow, if you truly want to expand easily, not the hustle, is relationships. There are certain relationships that can get you there faster. There are certain relationships that can get you somewhere that you didn't even have to email, you didn't have to text. They like, oh yeah, let me make that call. Oh, let me make that connect for you. I'm also in a place too to help someone is that, and you have to get there. Let me just say this: closed mouths don't get fed. So you have to speak up. Your strategy, and my prayer is that you'll get to a place where you speak up and you say, either I'm not here, y'all, I can't do it. This is where I'm at right now, or this is what I need. Like, this is what I can do. That's going to be powerful in understanding hustle mania, understanding the hustle, because if you can't grow, if you can't identify where you are, if you can identify and stop and say, and I said this at the beginning a little bit differently, is that, and I'm rounding it up to speaking up. That's what we don't do. We just don't speak up. We don't set boundaries. Well, to set a boundary, you need to speak up on the boundary. You need to say whatever that boundary may be. And so, like I said, I have my notes. Cut that time out, right? That's a time management. Incorporating something you enjoy, whether that's going to a coffee shop, a restaurant, a happy hour. And then what was my last one? Speaking up.
Yes,
speaking up. That's important. That's highly important, because I don't know what Jimmy is thinking, right? But if Jimmy doesn't say, you know what, Sarah, so this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking, where I'm at. And I'm like, okay. Now we're talking. Now the conversations is going to another level, because now I have a better understanding of where Jimmy's at. And that's our problem, is that we don't communicate as individuals, and we want somebody to mind read. And y'all, where everybody else is in life right now, I think we're all in this place. I ain't got time to read your mind. I ain't got time to guess. Okay. I ain't trying to read through this email. Tell me what it is.
Look, I'm trying to read my own mind.
I'm in my own thoughts sometimes. Tell me what it is. And that's why I ask questions. Again, that's speaking up, right? So that's another strategy.
Let me ask you a clarifying question. When you talked about, you can't set boundaries if you don't speak about them. What you said in the past few minutes also lent to sort of managing expectations, just how we talked about, instead of saying whatever you need, say, listen, this is what I can provide right now. I wish I could do more, but this is what I can do. So managing expectations and boundaries. What are some ways to effectively set boundaries for yourself? If I could add my little piece in here, where it's a balance of, or you stay focused on that set boundary, you said non-negotiable, without the guilt.
Ooh.
What?
Without
You
the
said
guilt.
ooh twice today.
Without the guilt. Well,
Because we grew up in church. Servitude, always being available. And then I come from the nonprofit world, and then that's just a different level of servitude
I
as
work
well.
in a,
So, sis, that when you do I'm doing better. But I still, once in a while, like when I look at the phone, miss this call, miss that. I'm not going to respond to that text right now if it's not an emergency and they're not dying. You still do a little bit of how they going to what they going to think. Are they going to tell somebody that, Jimmy didn't get back to me? It's real. And here's the whole mental. We need to have an internal session with just not live, with just people that move in this space.
Prioritizing. This to your point, it's like you really do have to prioritize, because I did something a few weeks ago. No, it was last week. I told a friend, I was like, I'm not doing that because, to be honest, I'm protecting my peace. And I said that because I knew I face, and I deal with, because we're having transparent conversation.
Yep.
And this will relate to somebody. I do struggle a little bit with rejection, like not seeing the results that I hope and dream to see
and had expected, and then you may have put some energy and some time and
exactly, and that's trauma. I can be transparent with y'all as a bit, like that's a trauma thing. Well, it didn't work the last time, and I just don't want to put the energy in that. But you need to do something. But it's like, yeah, I'm protecting my peace because I don't want to do that. And sometimes you just have to stop. Sometimes you're like, no, I'm not going to do that, because I'm not going to spiral. I'm not going to do that. Sometimes y'all, we have a problem with, as women, African-American culture. We have a problem with sitting down. The grandma used to say, go over there and sit down.
You need to sit. If you don't hear that, you need to go. And for no reason, they used to say, you just need to sit. And you could be sitting. You just need to sit down.
You need to sit down. But I be hearing my friends, just rest. I'm like, what is that? Rest your thoughts. Rest thinking about what's happening next week. Rest. Stop thinking about this event that you're putting on. If you're on an event right now, and you're like, oh my gosh, I got this, I got to do. If you don't go somewhere and sit down and stop worrying about those vendors, sit down, stop worrying about that budget, take a break. Take a break.
Ladies and gentlemen, we enjoyed having Sarah Busby on the show this morning.
Go and leave us alone. Leave everybody alone. Take a break. Leave yourself alone. Let's say that, and that's something but I'm gonna tell you this, every skill set, every strategy I'm giving with experience. If you're not there, you're not there. This is not to push you. This is to say, you may be thinking like, I gotta get there. What they're saying, like, I wish. And it takes experience. This takes experience. It takes a lot of burned bridges sometimes. It takes crying, tears, frustration to say, and once you go there, you're like, I'm not going there anymore. I'm not going to do that to myself. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm done. Because I went on a tangent, but I'm speaking to myself because I've had to recently do that. I've had to say, no.
I wish I had a Hammond B3 here, because this is the part where the pastor says, everybody stand. He starts setting the tone for the altar call.
Because we're going to get delivered today. No, I'm just like, I'm playing.
We need to, because, okay, let's round this out as we get ready to wrap up.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's 10:52. Oh, Jesus. 9:52. Okay.
Was it good, y'all? Can y'all tell us? I don't know.
I know it was good, because I didn't know we've been on for a whole hour. And so, when you talk about us getting delivered, people like us that I don't, and I want to say this publicly, my platform, by the fact that I'm a foodie, by the fact that I go out sometimes and have relationships with venue owners, it took on this influencer tone. And I'm cool with that. Before Java with Jimmy, I was, influencing in the community advocacy space. And what I've realized is that there is a benefit of embracing that to bring different people in, different partnerships. Never ever get it twisted. That only informs the goal of being a platform that shares information with resources with the most marginalized for the purpose of awareness of resources and information to mobilize people toward action, toward an equitable quality of life for everyone. So I don't care if it's a post of a chicken wing and you like it and you go to Estella, but someday from you following me from that, you're going to sign on and see a show about breast cancer. Unfortunately, you may hear your aunt talking about something, but now you're informed to tell them to go to the Ellie Fund because you heard it on the show. So all of that to say that us in these spaces, a lot of people in public don't know, or they see the public perception, but they don't know always what comes with that, with the motive, and also a lot of the just behind the scenes of just, it's a lot. Brother Cameron is on, that I had on earlier this week, that is enjoying this. You need to go check him out, him and his wife. This Sarah, you got me out there. This is
good. This is healing. And, to your point, to round it off, is that fewer, what is it? Some are called, fewer chosen. And not everybody.
This morning, you're not going to mess with me this morning.
And I'm speaking to myself. And so some people, some of us that are listening, we just have a higher, there's a higher burden over our lives. Yes. There's a higher burden. And so that means
yes, and that's the issue. We said yes.
We say yes. We say yes. And so we have a higher responsibility. We have, and that's hard. That's why I say from the beginning, this is heavy. What you do and what you have done for years is heavy. To be an influencer, as what we've called it now even more, is because there's a responsibility on you to deliver and you're not done, you're not complete until you've done that. Because if you don't do it, then thousands of people won't be able to get the message. So that's the burden. Like, okay, if I don't do it, I'm missing out on people. And then, if I do it, like, this is what I'm, so I said, God, give me grace. Like, help me to decrease me, increase you. Like, help me. A lot of times I'm like, how am I going? And it's not me. And I'm grateful for that. I'm like, okay, but this is a journey. This is not, even though I get the top of the Hustlemania, this is a journey that we're always going to be on. I just hope that we can incorporate just these small tips so that we're not so burnt out, that we're not so, I can't do this. When we're called to do it. We're called to do it. But how do I make it work for me in the season that I'm in? I believe that a year from now I'll be different. A year ago I was different. Yep. I'm 48 pounds lighter, right? My mindset is different about food.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
It's something I just want to do. I haven't been to a McDonald's the whole year. It's certain things I just haven't had. And so I said, no, because if I do it, I'm going to go back to my old ways. And it's so easy to go back with food. Food is good. And I don't, whatever. But anyway, so I just hope that everybody is able to take some of those practical tips starting today and just have a cutoff time. What I say, speak up and incorporate something you love.
Those are three things that we can incorporate as business people, as human beings in life. Do me a favor while I get ready to wrap up. You look to the right, there's a private chat. And I could go on, but I don't want to mess up. Can you type your Instagram and your website in the private chat so I can put it up as a banner and also in the comments? But this, and for me, we have an event tonight, but wrapping out this week with this session to start with Cam and his wife, and then ending out with you was great. And everybody that I had on this week was great. But this really, and we had brother Terry, who talked about accountability and whatnot. And so this was really a great week, but this session was good for me. I feel a little bit better.
You should.
Listen, you were a part of it, Jesus, because I heard you talk about this is healing. And a lot of people really, they did. And it's not just a light facetious thing, but it's a huge responsibility to balance. Balance is a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. It's something we're going to always be doing. So, you're going to always do this because we're in different seasons of our lives. You're going to look different. Things are going to look different for you every year, every month, or maybe every quarter. And that's good. You're evolving. We're evolving. We're changing, and we don't apologize for it. We don't apologize for that. We don't.
Okay. And
It's a good thing.
It is definitely. You just got my brain just like everywhere about what this weekend's going to look like. Part of me still wants to get away for a day, do a little staycation.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to Miami. Means a lot, but I just 3 or 4 days that's just a setup. I just really get comfortable good after 3 days. I'm going to take the time this weekend and really my new coach. I was supposed to be to the gym a couple of days ago. I'm doing the meal. I got the meal prep down pat.
There we go.
I did the journaling and the gratitude. It's just making the time to physically get to the gym. But this weekend, I'm putting things in place to where I'm prioritizing me and my schedule. And if it doesn't fit, I just, and I went through my first experience of speaking my value, and the entity or whatever said, okay, well, thank you. And it hurt because I'm invested in that entity. But I got over it. To your point about you do it the first time and it becomes easier, because there's also a behind the scenes thing of when we do devalue ourselves, the private of that, oh God, that's because the shoulda, woulda, coulda that we do in our mind, we get frustrated, and then we're like, we got to make sure we don't become bitter, and then get on the other side. Well, I'm just going to do everything to make sure I'm just a servant. No, even the Bible says a workman is worthy of their so Sarah, get up off of here. We've been a whole hour. Jesus, I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
And I look forward to maybe chatting with you again and just watching what you do. I followed and seen stuff popping up on Instagram. I'm like, oh, she out here doing it. So
I tried. Thank you so much for having me.
The number one thing I'm walking away with in addition to the tools was you said something about stop messing with yourself. I got to go back and watch it, but that thing hit. So I
leave yourself alone. Give yourself a break.
And that, get off my screen.
I'm
Sarah,
done.
thank you. Y'all make sure y'all go follow her at the Buzz Agency. I didn't put your personal because these folks here, they will track you down if they got questions.
Okay.
So we put your biz so they can you save that safe space for biz after 5 o'clock.
Right. Hey, right, because I won't answer it if it's after business hours. I'm just letting you know that now. Okay. I got a cutoff time.
Yes, ma'am. I got to do that too. And even with my team, I because they'll get texts 10 o'clock at night because something hits my head, but I appreciate them because sometimes they don't answer until the morning. So they probably turn my thread off. They
ain't want to relax. I
love y'all.
We love y'all.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Sarah. And we'll be in contact. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
Folks, if you didn't get anything out of today, leave yourself alone. This woman was good. All right. I have to make some announcements and remind you all about tonight. Cam, good to see you in the building. Brother, that thing of leave yourself, bro. She was good. Listen, tonight at 6 o'clock. We've been talking about this for a couple of weeks, and it is finally happening tonight at 6 o'clock. We are chatting with some folks for our second recording of Black Java. So I just want to share some thoughts with you from our guest, just around some thoughts they have around the culture and here in Black Boston. Mike D's on old and new Black Boston. And this cracked me up. Black Boston used to be Dudley. Now it's Nubian Square. Dart Adams on Black media outlets. In a world where gossip, rumors, misinformation, and trauma porn gets the most shares, interactions, and responses, which informs the algorithm in terms of content aimed toward Black users and consumers, Black outlets like this one have more of a responsibility than ever before to tell our stories in the face of widespread media failure. Taylor Andre on Black woman's view of 2024. As a Black woman, I feel that 2024 has changed the world to realize the power of our voices, the brilliance of our ideas, and the unveiling and the unyielding strength that has always been within us. This year, we are not just seen, we are celebrated, and our impact is undeniable. And certainly last and not least, Miss Mo Filler on Black media in Boston. She said her word for that is robust. There is such a vast variety of Black media platforms within our region, tackling topics on every level, whether we're catching wreck or trying to change the world. So tonight, we're going to tell you to come out if you would like to hear more from our guests for Black Java, 6 o'clock, 135 Morrissey Boulevard in Dorchester. 6 p.m., there is an open bar. There's some hors d'oeuvres for the first, for a little bit of time in the beginning, and some networking, and then we're going to go right in to the recording. So hopefully we get to see you this evening at Black Java, and then for our Mother's Board and others, we will get the date out of when we will air those segments. All right, let's talk about next week, and I will let you guys go. UCB, it looks like y'all going to get a it's 10:04. UCB, y'all get 90 minutes today. All right, so let me just get these next things together. Okay, all right. So next week on Monday, you will start off. Part of me might take a break on Monday. But right now, Monday, just Jimmy. On Tuesday, we have the good, and it's so interesting. Y'all, for UCB, look who's coming to the Java Cafe. Your friend and mine, Eric Leslie, is coming to the Java Cafe on Tuesday at 9 a.m. And then on Wednesday, we have Jasmine McNeese will be with us. She's a community development enthusiast. And on Thursday, we have the good brother, author, and also Roxbury TEDx speaker, Jake Small, who's going to come and talk about For Every Black Boy. And so that conversation there is going to be very interesting. And so that is our lineup for next week. Shout out to Anissa and the team for getting this information over to me so we can let you know what the menu is in the Java Cafe next week. Don't forget to come tonight at 6 p.m., 135 Morrissey Boulevard. We hope to see you in the building for our second episode of Black Java. Be there or be square, as they used to say back in the day. For those of you that may wonder what the goal of Black Java is, it's simply, and we've done this since 2020, but some more specific intentionality around this part of the brand came when we were made aware of the cancellation of WGBH's Basic Black. And so I got a few phone calls that were like, Jimmy, you need to, you're poised and you need to be intentional about filling that gap or expanding what you're doing to absorb that gap. And so we are doing it. We don't have the big corporate legacy backing and big cameras and full 10, 11 staff and producers and all that. But what we do have is a story. What we do have is a culture. And what we do have is Black joy. And so I am committed to amplifying that, not only Monday through Friday at 9 a.m., but also specifically for right now, once a month, where we will be, we'll come together and network, and we'll celebrate, and we'll share different topics. For September, I need to tell you all right now, September is a turn up for young adults. I would say 21 through 35 is an event we're targeting through a partnership that we will share more information about. Partnership started in June, had to work through some logistics. Just got word today that Black Java will be on location somewhere on September 19th with a DJ, some food, some drinks, minimal conversation, and a couple of hours of just a good time. And so that is targeted to a certain group per our partnership, but save September 19th. Right now, you can save every third Thursday of the month. October, we're going to talk with some of Boston's own artists. We have a huge up-and-coming hip-hop artist. We have a local dancer that is Dance with Usher and also Chris Brown. And then in October, We're going to, in the second segment, have a conversation about Black politics, both local and national, specifically with some folks about voter engagement, Black women voters, and things like that. In November, we are going to chat. I haven't decided what November is yet. And then in December, we're going to have a Christmas Java, which will be a concert with some local artists, some good food, and some fellowship. And that's it for Black Java for the rest of the year. We'll let you know about January. So I'm getting off of here. Shout out to everybody on Instagram. Rob, good to see you. You don't go into the studio no more. We're going into the studio tonight, Rob, over at Southline. We're working through some logistics. We've had access to the studio space officially, I want to say since July, but Monday through Thursday at 9 a.m., there's an office component of where I'm housed, and they didn't say anything, but I'm just sensitive that me and my animated self and guests coming in and whatnot could kind of disrupt their regular flow. So I had a conversation last week with the CEO, and we're going to talk about maybe setting up in another wing. And so that is coming very soon now. If we don't get that set up before the winter, I ain't going to start that till the spring, because in the winter, I will be right here. I'm not going out in cold and snow. We can do it right here virtually. So, Rob, thanks for the answer, brother. Natalie, good to see you in the building, and other folks that are on Instagram as well. Von Don P, good to see you as well, and Renee, and our brother Cam as well. And I think that is it for me this morning. Shout out to everybody that was listening on Twitter. Thank you for being in the room. And again, we'll see you guys tonight at 6 o'clock for Black Java, 6 p.m., 135 Morsi Boulevard. You guys have a great day, and we shall see you very, very soon.